Okay, welcome back. It's time for a political dialogue where we crack on matters of politics. Now, cracks emanated from the disagreement over the Parliamentary Service Commission list, where Senate Minority Whip Fatuma Dulo was replaced with Senator Okongo Mogeni, raising issues from the Jubilee Party members who threatened to leave the Azimio coalition. On the other end, the ruling Kenya Kwanza coalition is in a tug of war between quickening the economy and a hungry drought, not to say the need to fulfill campaign promises. And to share a take on this, I'm joined by lawyer Oreri wa Magembe to politically sift through the state of politics. Lawyer Oreri wa Magembe?
Yes.
Welcome to KUTV.
My pleasure.
And it looks our pleasure to have you here. And I'm going to go straight into it. We are going to look at the Azimio One Kenya coalition. Currently, we are seeing a lot of rifts emanating from various circles concerning the select spots. Unfortunately, the camp was not able to secure power, so now it is struggling for what is left. Looking at the differences that have been arising, particularly even from the Jubilee Party concerning everything that has been playing about, do you think the Azimio coalition will stand the test of time?
The chicken has blown the wind has blown the chicken's anus, and you can see the cracks, how they have come out and how it has come to play.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not about if, it's about when. Mm-hmm. And it has happened that the Azimio coalition is just on its deathbed. Mm-hmm. We are not going to see it any longer. I think Jubilee, they will chicken out because first they don't have the numbers. Mm-hmm. And I remember the last time I was watching the Senate, I remember Honorable Senator Okongo Mogeni, Senior Counsel, to be precise. Mm-hmm. He said that the Kisii Nation, the Gusii Nation, had given Honorable Raila Odinga, he has given them massive support for a long time. And Gusii region has been Baba's backyard for a decade and more years. So it is time that the Azimio coalition, One Kenya coalition, agree and come to the realization that they are just in slumber. When they wake up, they'll find Kenya at a different political landscape.
Yes. I'm talking of the different political landscapes. The Kenya Kwanza is trying to actually piece itself together. We've seen it recently, or rather today, the PESs were being vetted by the National Assembly. How do you see this thing playing out? Because there have been sentiments that the whole vetting process is more not that much something of a vetting exercise, but rather a conveyor belt process. Do you, in your perception, think that out of the vetting process, even if we have an issue like we had with the CSs in the vetting process, do you think there'll be anyone who will maybe not be part of the list, or will they just pass through as a conveyor and even with the issues regardless of them?
The National Assembly and the Senate, which form the two houses that form the parliament of this republic, at this time and moment, constitutionally they are an independent arm of government. But you see, being a political, they are an outcome of a political process, largely, by and large, formation of factions of political parties, and hence it is a conveyor belt, as we have said. Mm-hmm. And they will continue. We saw the process as it were in the cabinet secretaries nominees, and I think they will sing to the tune. Mm-hmm. They will dance to the song of the president.
So this will be more or less an automatic process.
Yeah, it's an automatic process.
And as we talk about this, let me also ask you concerning the NG-CDF. The Supreme Court termed CDF to be unconstitutional, but there is a contest emanating from the House, and more likely it's like the MPs are trying to find a way of actually aligning the constitution to allow CDF back into running. What do you think about this?
I think the CDF has been in the country for a while now, and we have seen and we have drunk from the juice of the CDF. We have seen schools being built. I saw yesterday the MP Ndindi Nyoro taking the other MPs and leaders on a tip of how he has been doing with his CDF. We saw what other MPs did, and it's a good statutory recognition on how we have reaped from the CDF. But the judiciary on its interpretative part of the constitution, I think it found it fit to term it unconstitutional. But these two arms, they are independent, and we must agree that the CDF is an outcome or is a bad child of statutes, which is under the ambit of the Parliament, the National Assembly, to be precise. So I think there will be friction, but the Parliament will have to relook where the unconstitutional parts, and to ensure that what they do is something that the life of the law, that's the Constitution, preempts and envisages.
And let me ask you this already. If, let's say, the National Assembly, with the numbers as they are, will be able to find a way of fitting the whole CDF situation into law, won't it put the Constitution in a way subject to other sort of repair tactics to put legislation that favors MPs or other legislators per se?
It's both a political question and a legal question. But on the political part, you know, the members of Parliament, waheshimiwa, they will not get their respect without the CDF. You see, and also it's a way of devolving funds. It's a way of devolving funds, taking more resources to mwananchi, and I guess there are bursaries being given out of CDF. There are roads being built out of CDF. There's water taken to the doorstep of Akina Mama out there. We remember we have to look at a place at a moment like this where we are suffering from hunger and famine. How are we going to help our people in a faster manner? You see, it's momentous for us to respect the Constitution, but it's also very epochal for us also to look at how we are going to take resources in a country that is a third world country. For me, it's a balance. It's a balance, and the two arms of government must come to a meeting point. There must be meeting of minds. May it be through the courtrooms or through another discussion. But for me, as a person, I've seen this country move a step forward out of CDF, but there's $1 million question. How are the funds that are in the CDF, NDCDF, how are they being used? They must be audited, because we have gray areas in the CDF whereby there are questions arising that the funds are being embezzled, the funds are being misused, and then the MPs that are misusing or they are siphoning the public resources must be brought to book. And I think the magistrates and the court of laws have a time to put the MPs behind bars, which is also an uphill task. But we'll have to see how it unfolds. For me, if the resources are being brought, are being used in a manner that is legal, a manner that is auditable, a manner that is we can all see functions and money following functions, then I have no reason, but I have to raise eyebrows, because it's a matter that is in the public opinion that the MPs themselves have been beneficiaries of the NDCDF, whereas they are receiving large lump sums of money from the parliamentary kitty. So it's a question of how Kenyans will be delivered their services. And I call upon all the MPs, because they have the powers. I know the Kenya Kwanza coalition has the numbers, and I know the MPs will, because they have the numbers and they have the goodwill and the political goodwill, to be precise. They will have to relook at the statute and bring it back for them to look alive and to be on duty. But that being said, as a Kenyan and as a young Kenyan, is it the right way to devolve funds? Or is there a place, or are there functions that these resources can be relayed? That is also a question that I pose to my fellow Kenyans out there. Yeah.
And talking about the whole number situations, as in when you are a faction, you have ideas, and for one reason or another, probably your agenda may actually not be able to pass through because you lack the numbers. Do you think this is a cause for political fatigue?
I think the government, the political season, I think I cannot say that it's already fatigued, but I think it's a form of political partyism, whereby the political ideologies and the campaign manifesto is being relayed from the political party to the parliamentarians en route their political factions. It is a matter that it's a matter of responsibility to the political parties to rise to the occasion, to ensure that they drive this country to the right direction as per the manifestos, not as per their comfort zones after they won elections. You see, they have a duty, they have a calling, and if they do not rise to the occasion, I know after 5 years they will see the door. Because in Kenya, I think we are alive to the fact that politically we are wise people. I know we had the story of the dynasty versus hustlers, but it's moving to a point of service delivery, not on political parties. And although there is a bit of tribalism, we want service delivery. We cannot sit here, sit on our roles as we see this country going to the trenches or to the dogs. We cannot allow that as Kenyans and as the majority voters of this republic.
I think you have been pointing to matters of making due on their promises.
Yes.
Among the promises was the Hustler Fund. The public participation process begins tomorrow.
Yes.
What are your reactions on this?
The Hustler Fund may not be
another saga,
another golden bag, or another KEMSA scandal. But I have good hopes. I'm a positive man. That as the public participation goes on, it goes on in a manner that it covers the views and ideas of the four corners of this republic. You see, this country does not belong to the Kalenjins, it does not belong to the Kikuyus, it does not belong to the Luos, it belongs to all of us, the young and the old. And for a moment, I think we must come to a realization and to an agreement that the president has a little bit started swerving around away from his political...
Okay, Oreri, for a moment, I'm also going to break you for a moment because you're talking about the whole matters of the Hustler Fund and how it's playing on the whole community and the whole country as a whole.
Yes.
Now, looking at the fact that the Hustler Fund is something that was a promise that needs to be made, and for one reason or another has been seen to make some shifts in one way or another, because the Hustler Fund was promised to be one that would not be like interest oriented. And there is a possibility, like right now, we may actually see that this money, as in if we were to quote per se what we had from the head of state, is that this money will not come freely. This money has to do something, has to move in a certain trajectory. We are looking at businesses around, even that for the youth. And most of them are not registered. And we're in a process where you want to register, and you want to offer this fund to young entrepreneurs who are not necessarily registered, and the businesses are not really that known, they're not out there. How does this fund reach them within due time, with the record that we actually have around like 2 weeks to the kickoff of the whole rollout?
I think they have to have a good plan, not just a plan, but a good plan, because this country is known to have one of the best thieves, quote unquote. But let's give the president time. Let me lower my tone, because I voted for the president. But also I must agree that the president had alluded to the fact that we will not be having interest. But a week ago I heard him saying that it will not be free money. You must pay for the money. But also it's a good idea. You know, Kenyans are also interesting people. They might be given the money and they know, they sit back and eat the money, then they pay it. So I think it's a good idea, because if you get a loan and if you work fully on that loan and you invest in it well, you'll get profit. And let the government also continue with the idea of loaning young people so that they can do the SMEs. The SMEs, I guess they are under Simon Chelugui, the CS, the Honorable CS. I know if the work is well cut out for everyone. They have a good plan. I cannot start justicizing the government, and they have not yet started their work. May it be that the funds are accountable, auditable, and auditable to the book. I think that one will be satisfactory for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And away from that, let's come back to the capital. Of late, even today, the hashtag was Nairobi CBD.
Yeah.
And the matters was because of crime. And it is something that has been troubling the residents of Nairobi. It has become a topic, and now it is something that also has now been addressed even by the governor per se. Today we saw Japheth Kome, the new IG, and Johnson Sakaja come into forming a unit to be able to try and curb the situation in Nairobi. What are your thoughts concerning this, and will we see a change of sorts? Because we've seen other units go about. Currently we have a unit that was created some time back, and it is in court. We have 9 police who are currently in court. We may not go so much into the matter, but we have a new situation coming about with the whole situation on matter security within the capital, within the CBD.
It's a very sad situation. Let me begin with that. A lot of young people and also old people have lost their lives in the hands of cabals and these thugs in this city. Personally, people are losing very, very, very reliable and very cheap gadgets in the name of smartphones and laptops, which one can get after just a week's sweat or a month's sweat. But it's also a matter that we must take the government to action. The government under the African Charter, Chapter 4, we have to see that and the role of the police. And also we can see the case of Florence versus the Attorney General, whereby the courts elucidated themselves very clearly that the role of the police is to protect the citizens of this republic, that the life is sacrosanct, and we cannot allow anyone to lose blood or to lose life because of young people who are not focused, or people who are not focused. But the government itself must rise to the occasion also to see to it how comes that a few years ago, I guess is it 5 to 10 years ago, we had the dilemma of the Al-Shabaab. This country was a hotbed of terrorism, and we must agree to that. We had installed CCTVs all over this country and also major roads, especially this city. Are those CCTVs functioning? We have to see a small country like Uganda, whereby the city is controlled by only electronic cameras. What about a country like Kenya, a country that is ahead of in East and Central Africa? You see, it's a lackluster of these leaders, and I think it's not a matter of political show off or media organizing the media and looking flowery. This country must, the leaders must swing into action. My idea is the government must form a multi-agency team, not just involving police, because the police know these things already. But it must also involve the Nyumba Kumi, the people themselves, so that they must have a channel of information, so that the people themselves, we know these guys, when they attack someone, they can be reported, they can be seen without even delay, so that due action is seen. But also I must also speak, because I saw the cabinet secretary of Interior, is it of Interior or of Defense, Mr. Kitsure Kindiki?
It's Interior.
Interior, who said that they are not going to be going easy on these terrorists.
Yeah.
Not terrorists, but goons and thugs, smugglers. I think someone is innocent until proven guilty. The law must take its course.
So do you think we can actually trust our security agencies to undertake this whole process without bias, such that we don't have cases like we have had in recent days?
Yeah, it's their responsibility. They have taken oath, and I think we must give them their time to do that work. But it's a matter that it has been delayed. You see, as a country, we cannot start going to Twitter to defend ourselves because the country is asleep, or the people responsible for their work. It's a matter that it's of urgency. The CS must swing into action. The IG, the new IG, who is on 1 days old on the office, must swing into action and ensure that the Kenyans are safe, period. We don't have to discuss this on national television. Those people who have the expertise to ensure that each and every single Kenyan's life is protected must swing into action. And unless that, I think that person is not fit to take office.
Indeed.
To hold office anymore.
And before we on your closer, I'd like to get your sentiments on this, because among the directives that have been made by the Nairobi governor, that is Johnson Sakaja, is that all street families living under the bridges, under all bridges, be they foot bridges, be they water bridges, they should not be there.
Yeah.
We have been having the whole situation of street families for some time. In your own perception, as a young man, as an aspirant in one way or another, how do we deal with this situation? Because these people did not come from nowhere. Yet these people, literally, as it is, don't have a place to go. How do we address their issue in a way that is relatable?
I think I must also repeat and say life is sacrosanct. I think these street families is a sorry state. It's not something that we must just let it fly away on our faces, but we must control also the number of street families in our cities. If the county government is ready and able, which I'm sure it is, it must look for a good formula, because these are very young kids who run away from home sometimes, or who lack parents. There are some of them are orphans. Yes.
Isn't there a place for legislation in addressing their plight?
I think there is. This country is of age. I guess, is it a decade? There was a cabinet secretary who organized, a former minister, who organized for these street children to be taken somewhere to receive education, to receive shelter, and also to receive good health. I guess it's the loosening grip of the government, whereby some roles are being slept on. But if we have, I think this country is good on policy and is good on legislative structure, but on implementation is where the question is. Because at this time, I know there's enough legislation that this country does not need to speak of issues of street children, of smugglers. I know they are trying to connect the two stories together, and I think it connects, it clicks together. But also, if they could have dealt with this thing, Nairobi is a very big city. It's ranked top 5 in Africa, and I guess I'm very correct. But Kileleshwa in last month was ranked among one of the best suburbs in the world, and I'm very correct. But we have these small cliques of issues that affect us. But also, as a country, we must ask ourselves, why do we have street families in all the cities, in all the towns in this country? Why are we having that? Where does it take a county government to start speaking of issues as such? I think it goes back to the smallest unit of a society, the family. How do we bring up our children? How do we enhance unity in our societies, such that when you see a young person stray or running away from home, how do we direct them to go back to their families? Because it's not easy to grow up without a parent or a guardian. It even raises questions of discipline, and that's how I want the churches, the associations, the NGOs to take up this. Before even the parliamentarians, I know a lot of politics will be brought there, but the society at large. It's a question on how we are going to move forward as a republic. Yeah.
I appreciate your thoughts so much, lawyer Magembe.
Yes.
Thank you for actually making time to be with us right here on KUTV Primetime News and sharing your thoughts, your sentiments concerning the whole political situation and even the matters that are currently within